is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Mick Shots, streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app. Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
All right, here it is. It's Monday, February 10th, 2025. We have a couple of football players on the football field. And
really just one.
Drizzly day here in Dallas. There's one player? I thought there were a couple out there. Maybe, okay.
The other guy was helping out.
Oh, okay.
No, there was a second one out.
Oh, okay. We got a debate right off.
He wasn't doing the damn thing.
Well, they better start doing something.
That's right.
They ain't lying. It's time now.
Well, that might be the most positive thing you say today. Dak Prescott's out there doing
that was
rehab
Dak?
on
That was Dak? Okay, I didn't.
resistance course.
All right, very good. Behind the scenes, you don't get that anywhere else.
So he chooses today.
No,
No, we chose today.
No,
you
out
chose.
there.
He's been
today.
out there.
He's out
Has he
there
been out there?
3 to 4
Man,
times a week.
Hey, that's good stuff.
And
'Cause I
so
would not be out there right now if I was him. Not in this weather.
so is his helper guy.
And we've got his helper guy.
Well, his assistant or whatever you call that guy.
We got a lot to get to here.
Yes, we
because
do.
there's so much to talk about. We got changes on the coaching staff, additions to the coaching staff. We got the combine coming up here in a couple of weeks. We got free agency starting after that. We got the draft coming up. There's so much to talk about on this edition of Mick Shots.
We're not doing all of that today. We are not doing all of that today. I
tennis-
know we're not doing all of that today.
Conclusion of the tennis tournament.
And who won the tennis tournament?
Sharapov, I believe you say it.
Shapovalov.
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 Love, right? There's a V.
So I was reading out Rude and somebody else. And
Wow, you were keeping up with the tennis too?
yeah, but they didn't win.
Casper
All the
Ruud.
Americans get
They
beat.
didn't win.
Yeah. All right. So what do y'all want to talk about?
Super Bowl, maybe?
Oh.
You think? Did you watch it?
I watched it.
Yep.
I watched.
Watched it, and it reminded me of the '85 Bears.
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't expect it. Did you expect that?
Oh yeah.
You expected? You expected that?
No.
No, I didn't either. As a matter of fact, I picked KC. I picked KC because I just thought, Mahomes would do Mahomes things.
Well, when you're kind of out there trying to play quarterback by yourself with nobody in front of you to protect you.
You know, it reminded me of
hard
the
time.
'85 Bears, and it reminded me of the '90s Cowboys.
Against the Bills?
Well, just that defensive line and being able to put pressure on a quarterback with a four-man rush.
Four-man rush.
They didn't blitz the entire game.
No, they didn't need to.
That's right.
But KC didn't try to run the ball the entire game. Why would they do that? Why would Andy Reid go into a
especially-
game with,
But he's
You know,
he's the professor.
he's the man. He built that Eagles
Did he ever-
team
And
over
as
there.
bad-
He helped build that Eagles team over there.
you know what? As bad as it was going, 10-0 in the second quarter.
Yeah.
About 10 minutes left in the second quarter.
Yeah.
It's a 10-0 game. And the Chiefs had horrible field position. 3 times in the first half, they started drives like inside their own 10-yard line. And yet they felt like they had to keep pace point-wise, whatever, and so they didn't run the football. They didn't play it like the Giants did against the Cowboys in 2007 in the divisional playoff round, where you're just they can't assume that mindset because they're the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be able to score points at will.
Whenever they want.
Okay, that's right. And they needed to sense in that game that our way to win this game, it's got to be a punt is a good play.
Well, they had 5 of them in the first half.
Well, but they needed a punt. they needed 2 more punts instead of interceptions deep in their own end of the field. That's when the game ended.
I mean, think about it this way. So it was 24-0 at halftime.
And they needed to get to halftime 13-0
Right.
instead of 24-0, and they get the ball first in the second half.
One Philadelphia touchdown gets set up on a 3rd and 5 play that was incomplete, and they got a personal foul, right? There was one touchdown. Another touchdown returned, interception, right? And another touchdown was an interception that they set up at the 14-yard line. Mm-hmm. So really, all they did on their own in that first half was they kicked a field goal. Mm-hmm. You can't make those
and all
mistakes.
they did, and what the Chiefs did defensively, they bottled up Barkley, which they had to do to win this game, okay? And it was basically the quarterback throwing fades down the right sideline was their offense. And
and they didn't need anything else, because what you saw was Chiefs defense that felt like they had to match a Philadelphia defense. And that Philadelphia defense has controlled the entire season just masterfully, the way they've done it. Every game that we've seen from Philadelphia, if you don't grind, you can't grind with them. That's the way they play. They grind, and they just wear you out. And that's what they did with KC. Mahomes could feel it. You don't see Mahomes making those kind of plays consistently. He's made some mistakes doing some games. That's why they barely eked out a lot of games. But you don't see him doing that consistently, throwing such horrible passes. And I have to say, the front four for Philly is good. But that secondary is just as good.
But when you can rush only 4, then you've got 7 covering whatever they're sending out in cover.
And that doesn't automatically give you the advantage, that especially against Mahomes.
Yeah, but when you're
they
getting
have a secondary that knows how to play zone. They're a smart secondary, and they don't make mistakes. That's what this entire team is about.
But when
we
you're
don't make mistakes.
You're getting sacked 6 times, getting hit 11 times, and having 6 plays tackled for losses, your offensive line wasn't worth diddly. And that's why they got beat the last time by Tampa Bay.
That's the same. That's all I saw. That's all I saw
They
was
could
Tampa
not
Bay.
protect Mahomes.
That's all I saw the
And
whole
as
game.
good as you are, if you're getting hit that many times, the one interception over the middle, he got hit. And he threw sidearm.
Yeah.
He should have never thrown it. Should have just taken the sack.
And
But
this is-
still.
And see,
And
your
this is-
judgment is affected. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, because then you start
Your
seeing
judgment
ghosts,
that's
right?
right. We talk about that. Start seeing ghosts. I don't care who you are. Your judgment is affected.
And it's and the Chiefs have some good players on their offensive line. In fact, they've got a Pro Bowl center in Creed Humphrey, who I think if you look at the tape, he did not play a bad game. They've got a Pro Bowl right guard in Trey Smith, who's going to be probably in free agency this year. He is going to become the highest paid offensive guard in football history.
I thought he got his butt whipped.
Right, exactly.
thought he got
Now, going into the game, he was going to be that.
Yeah.
But he had to go up against Jalen Carter in
He
this
got
game.
his butt whipped.
Right.
And the right tackle.
And the right tackle,
Sucked.
Jawan Taylor, he was not good when he was at Jacksonville.
He was terrible.
And they signed him to a huge contract because you can't find tackles in this league, and so they had to. And then they're in the same boat the Cowboys are as far as trying to replace Tyron Smith. They've been looking. Okay, they had Orlando Brown, and they were able to win Super Bowl with Orlando Brown, but he leaves in free agency. And they actually have Wanye Morris, who they drafted, who played ahead of Tyler Guyton at Oklahoma, and he hasn't panned out at left tackle. They drafted a left tackle in the second round this year out of BYU. He's too green. He can't do it. So they have to move one of the best guards in football all time, Joe Tooney, who's got 4 Super Bowl rings, or maybe 5, was working on a 6th last night. They had to push him out to left tackle and out of position. It'd be like moving Zach Martin to left tackle.
Right.
And
then they had to play Caliendo. I thought that was the guy that did the comedy stuff on Fox.
Hey, he's funny, by the way. I like him.
Mickey's funny there.
That's right.
They had to move him to left guard. So you had a guy, you weakened the left guard position to take care of your weak left tackle and brought in Caliendo. When I heard that call, I said, who?
And so the Chiefs are in position here just like they were coming out of that Super Bowl where they lost to Tom Brady, where they have to redo their entire offensive line, basically, because they're going to lose one of their best players, Trey Smith, in free agency, and you don't have tackles. And Tooney's up there in age as well.
So this made me think of this. I thought of Everson, on the crawlers there at the bottom. I guess it was during post-game stuff I was watching, and it's got everybody's mock draft. And I was always curious to see who they got the Cowboys at 12. One time it's Genty, one time it's a defensive end, and then one time it was a guard. And I said, a guard? And then I said, well, maybe the offensive line better be a priority just watching this, because as I told you last week, watching the Senior Bowl, watching the East-West Shrine game, those poor guys, they don't have the top offensive linemen protecting those quarterbacks. And here it was in the game that Kansas City could not get to Hurts, and they could not protect Mahomes. And it was all on the
trenches,
offensive
line. It's all about the trenches, and that's nothing new. Now, Kansas City was able to do a lot without that offensive line because their defense was playing so well. But they really couldn't handle that type of scheme that Philadelphia is accustomed to having. And that is conservative football, no turnovers, and whip those butts on that offensive line.
I mean, what about, you saw what you're having trouble protecting. What about a screen pass? What about just
Did they do one screen pass?
I don't remember.
I don't think they did one.
And they finally threw a smoke screen to Worthy.
And the thing is, the Chiefs have been living off that stuff in all these one-score games that they haven't been able to throw the ball downfield. They have compensated for the deficiencies they've had on their offensive line with their short passing game, but maybe it's because you have to go back and look at the film in some of this. Because the Eagles are able to rush 4, then they were able to take away some of that stuff, the outlets.
You still got to run the ball,
man. Had. Exactly.
You still got to run the ball.
That's right.
And it reminded me, and they didn't use this. Were you watching the pregame when they did the tribute to Jimmy?
Yep.
Oh, man, I missed it.
Yeah.
Boy, they said it was very cool. He was crying, man.
He was about to.
Oh, man.
But
he was crying.
One thing they didn't say. One thing they didn't say about.
Sometimes you cry and there's no tears.
Right.
Right.
One thing they didn't point out about him, his best quality as a head coach was his self-scout. He understood what his team was able to do and what it wasn't able to do, and you don't fool yourself. Fool yourself that this offensive line is going to take on those guys for Philadelphia.
I didn't see that. My daughter told me about it. She said it was great. But I had always compared Jimmy to the Philadelphia head coach. I have always thought that they had the same mindset. I thought that they motivated their players in the same way. I thought that he was the kind of coach that loved for the opposition or anybody else to hate him, and he don't give a damn. That's where those two have a whole lot in common.
He kind of pointed that out in the show.
See, but that's, to me, they remind me of each other.
Well, it was sort of, I don't think how many people liked me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he didn't care. He didn't care. And that was what he took into every game. He wanted everyone to hate that team. And he did a good job of it, and this Philadelphia coach is doing the same thing. Just the way he carries himself on the sidelines, he don't care about none of y'all. We're going to win this game.
Nor the fans.
And Jimmy, to me, was the same way. I mean, and to me, that's the kind of coaches you need necessarily. Now, X's and O's are fine. To me, that's for offensive coordinators and position coaches. I need somebody to have that aura about themselves, and Jimmy and the Philly coach had the same thing.
Yeah, it was a really good segment.
You know what? Switzer had that too.
Not here.
No, but in college.
Yeah. That's what you want. You want that. It's not arrogance as much as it is I could care less. It's disregard. They have disregard for whatever you're talking about. We're coming in here to do this.
Switzer on his coach's show, and there were so many recruits that would watch this stuff back in the day. The coach an hour-long replay of the game, and he would say about the other team, number 22, he can't play. I mean, he didn't say that, but it was basically,
yeah, we're gonna
he wouldn't
take
know
this
any
guy.
of the names of the guys on the
Yeah.
other team, whatever. And but it's the same kind of. He didn't care what anyone else. And Jimmy had that same quality about him. And,
He did.
yeah.
He did. And you got that. That's that Philly. That's that Philly style. That's the way. That's the way they played.
Yeah.
That was
We got a lot of catching up to do on this team. We got a lot of work.
well. They
Especially
played.
on the defensive line.
Man,
when
we
you
got
look
a
at
lot of work to
They
do.
played Philadelphia twice last year.
Yeah, and it was ugly. Both
34-6 and 41-7.
what I said last night. Now the Chiefs know how the Cowboys felt. The Cowboys were playing them without their
Right.
starting quarterback.
Come on, man. And I
Both times.
Both times. That's right. Yeah.
The first time they held Barkley, I looked it up, to 66 yards. Problem was
And the game
Hurts
played
ran
out.
for 56.
Game played out just like last night's game did
And
too.
then the second time, he ran the ball 31 times for 167 because he was trying to get to 2,000.
Yeah,
And he got there.
and we couldn't stop him.
So there's so much to
Yes.
take away from why the Eagles are where they are right now, and maybe what other teams, including the Cowboys, can learn from that.
But I noticed that this coming off season, they have 16 unrestricted free agents.
It's going to be tough for them to keep that together.
Zach Bond, who they lucked into, right? Although give him
Well,
credit
no,
for
they
moving
lucked.
him from
But they didn't luck
pass
into him. They were smart enough to see that he
signed him for a one-year, $3.5 million deal.
That's not luck.
And then
That's
moved
combing the free agent waters and finding.
Moved him to
guy.
linebacker. Josh Sweat,
He's a free agent.
Mickey Betton. Is it Mickey?
Mekhi Becton.
Mekhi Betton.
Mekhi Becton.
Becton.
Who that's another one who was a first round draft pick of the Jets, couldn't play tackle, and they figured out, let's put this
guard.
370 pounder in at guard, and he's had a Pro Bowl type season at guard.
Now, I know Brandon Graham didn't play the whole season, but he's a pretty
he's
good
now-
player.
well,
Pretty
And
good.
he's old.
He's going on
pretty
38 years old.
You're lying.
Milton Williams.
How old is he?
He's 37. Wow. Yeah.
And he got back in time to play.
2010 draft pick.
How many
Good for
snaps?
2010.
He might have
Good for
got
him,
10
man.
snaps, I think. He had a torn, was it a pec or
I don't remember what the injury was, but he's been out.
him.
Milton Williams, third round pick out of Crowley, Texas, Louisiana
How about
Tech.
that?
I love that kid coming out of the draft, and now he's a free agent.
And
Had
their
2 sacks and a forced fumble last night.
backup running back Kenneth Gainwell. So they got, and they don't have a lot of room, so they're going to have some cap problems. But again, it worked. If you sell out like that, paying Barkley and everything, and it works, then more power to you.
Well,
Same way the Rams did when they finally got their ring.
And then the next year they paid the price,
Right.
basically.
and they've been hitting on the draft. And
Yes.
what they've done in the draft is they have accumulated. When they were bad, going back 5 years ago, they were able to take their first round pick, make some trades, pick up a future first round pick. And so they had multiple first round picks that they were able to use to move around in the draft. And they have since 2021, which was basically, here's one that you can debate. It worked out well for both teams. They traded with the Cowboys in 2021 on draft day, moved up 2 spots to take Devontae Smith. Cowboys moved down, take Micah Parsons.
Nice.
And so Cowboys got their guy, and they got Chauncey Golston in that deal because the Eagles moved up with. They knew that Devontae Smith fit what they wanted offensively. They evaluated Micah Parsons. And because you would take Micah Parsons, wouldn't you? I mean, Devontae Smith's a really good player.
Yes, he is.
But especially with what we saw last night, the emphasis that the Eagles have on defense, they missed on Micah Parsons.
Yes, they did. He would have fit in very well.
Right.
He was in their backyard.
Right. And
they're in the back.
and by the way, then they gave up a guy that the Cowboys turned into a usable then the third round pick in Chauncey Golston, who had a very nice year this year. Who's now a
be
free
able
agent.
to re-sign him.
Yeah, exactly. He's their Josh Sweat. basically. And Josh Sweat, we saw what he did in the Super Bowl last night. But they have been able to acquire a couple of first-round picks by making that move back in 2019, acquiring the extra first-round pick in 2020, and then they've been able to parlay that forward, and they're able to manipulate the draft that way.
And their offensive line played well.
And they found a guy that played Australian rugby. Or in New Zealand, he played Jordan Mailata,
right,
who was a 7th-round draft pick, who was a monster at left tackle for a decade now for him. And then Lane Johnson, who was a 4th pick in the draft, plays right tackle, and now he's long in the tooth. But then they got Landon Dickerson, who's a guy who was a first-round type talent who fell to the 2nd round because he had an injury issue. They took a chance on him, and he's been a perennial Pro Bowler for them. They were able to replace Kelsey with Cam Jurgens, who has the same traits that Kelsey had, smaller, mobile center type out of Nebraska, and he made the Pro Bowl this year. And then they hit on Becton as well. And so there you got best offensive line in football. And right up there with the Lions.
Funny how that works out, offensive line and defensive line.
And it doesn't just go there. I mean, we got to give your boy credit, Bill. He's your OU man. You know, Jalen Hurts did a great job. I think he finally came into his own this year, understanding how he fit with this team. I really thought the way that they built this team, it was to be built around Jalen Hurts.
How many times you think the Super Bowl MVP quarterback that wins the game only has to complete 17 passes?
That's right.
17 passes.
That's right.
You know what? It made me go back and look. The Cowboys lost games to quarterbacks completing 11 passes, 12 passes, 16 passes, 15 passes, and 13 passes. But if they're quality completions and you're getting takeaways from your defense, you don't have to move the ball very far.
And you're not giving up.
And you're not turning it over.
And that's the main thing about it. That's why they built the team around him, because that's the way he plays at his best.
And their one turnover might as well have been a punt.
That's
He got the ball at the 2.
They gave it a shot.
Yeah.
They just gave it a shot. And that was a field position thing.
Because he's not kicking a 60-yard field.
No, he's not. No.
I saw him warm up that time.
It was smart for KC to understand exactly what was going on at that time.
Yeah, just go for it.
Yeah,
right?
And they knew they were going to do that. So I got to give Jalen some credit. Man, I'm in the doggone room with the family. They're cheering for Jalen Hurts because there's a bunch of women in the damn house.
Why is that?
Because he's a black kid from, the black mothers in the house. They love him.
Okay.
What about Patrick Mahomes?
Well, he's black too, but he don't have black representation.
Sorta.
He don't have black representation. You said that, I didn't. He doesn't have black representation. That's what they like about Jalen Hurts. His entire representation is black females. I mean, come on, man. Why wouldn't they fall in love with this guy? He's a good-looking dude. He married a good-looking lady. I think they're married. But, all of that stuff was going through the house. Me and my brother-in-law was so upset because we're like, hey, y'all are cheering a little bit too loud. You got to remember, this is still cowboy country here. We're still cowboy fans, but no, that kind of pride that went through there for the women in the house, that was something that was kind of cool to see. But also just seeing him finally get that monkey off his back. The guy did a great job, and he handles himself as a pro everywhere he goes. So you just have, I'm not rooting for him, but you got to understand why Philadelphia has him as their leader.
I remember the Cowboys were raving about him. That was when he came out in the draft. It was the Zoom interviews, and they were raving about. They interviewed Jalen, and they loved him. And his interview with him. The thing that I love about Jalen Hurts is the way he handled his situation at Alabama. And you go back in the national championship game 2017 against Georgia, he gets benched at halftime. Tua comes in, leads them to the win national championship game.
Crazy.
And he doesn't do what a lot of other people in this day and age of the transfer portal will do. He doesn't transfer to another school. He stays at Alabama, even though Tua is the starting quarterback. He's the backup. I think in that season, he finally got an opportunity, maybe in the SEC championship game where Tua hurt his hip or something, and he came in.
Brought him back.
Right. Yeah. And so he sticks it out. And, yeah, he did eventually graduate. I mean, eventually transfer, but he waited until he graduated from Alabama. Yeah. And so he fulfilled his whole commitment on a scholarship at Alabama. And then he transferred to Oklahoma, goes to Oklahoma, and leads them to the college football playoff himself.
But it's the way he did.
And that's right.
He was able to change the entire way he thought and played football. From, what's the coach's name? The quarterback whisperer? Who was his coach?
At OU?
Oh, that was you.
Lincoln Riley.
Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
Lincoln Riley took him. He accepted it. He took it all in. He changed his entire way of playing football. To me, I thought that was pretty amazing. I brought that up in here more than once. And so when you look at all of that, and you look at what Tua went from there, and you look at where he went from there, he did not let that experience,
it's a great lesson for anyone who doesn't get their way, gets benched or loses a job, even outside of football, where you just persevere and do the right thing, and and he became a leader on the team, and he can squat 700 pounds about. I mean, I remember the videos of him in the locker room at OU where he's there and you got the offensive lineman cheering him on as he's doing squats and stuff. Right. I mean, you can't say enough good things about him.
You really can't say enough good things.
Do we consider him an OU quarterback or an Alabama quarterback?
That's a tough one.
Because somebody brought this up. He's the fourth Alabama quarterback to win an MVP in the Super Bowl. The other 3 times?
Joe Namath, Bart Starr.
Wow. That's amazing. That's pretty good stuff.
I don't know who came up with that, but I was like,
but is he an Alabama quarterback?
That's what I'm asking.
Okay, let me ask you this. Is Troy Aikman an Oklahoma quarterback or a UCLA quarterback?
Oh, he's a UCLA quarterback.
Okay, then Jalen Hurts is an Oklahoma quarterback.
He played his most years there.
Right?
Yeah, okay. Well, Troy didn't win a national championship.
Well, neither did Jalen Hurts. He got benched.
But he
got benched.
He was on the team.
Tua came in.
He came on the team. He got Alabama championship. Come on, man.
Aikman did. 85, they won a national championship, and Aikman's on the team. Jamel, he got hurt.
With a broken leg.
No, he got hurt.
Was he even eligible to play?
Yeah, no, he was the starting quarterback. He got hurt. He got hurt against Miami. Jimmy Johnson in Miami. Okay. Jamel Holloway comes in and leads him to the national championship. Right. It's almost identical to Jalen Hurts.
And then he said, I better transfer because they're going to let this quarterback run the ball.
Right. I can't do that.
Right. Yeah. All right. We got much to get to about this team when we come back here on Mick Shots.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
How do you tell the world about all the great gifts in the Yeti store? Let her rip, Troy.
All right, folks, let's get started with the Yeti French Press. Enjoy coffee that stays hot for hours in a French press. 34 ounce for you, 6'4" for the cruise. The Yeti French Press. Hot mix waterproof bags. Bags waterproof. Submersible waterproof doubles. Waterproof bags. World's mostly water, so get a waterproof Yeti bag. Do I smell something cooking? Oh, new cast iron skillets made to be passed down like Mama's recipes. Take your steak, cornbread, cobbler's pot pie, and potatoes next oval with 3 sizes of Yeti cast iron skillets.
Gear, gifts, and product experts. Visit the Yeti store on McKinney Street and at South Lake Town Square today.
Hey, Cowboy fans, I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But lately, I've been learning a new game, crypto. Sound confusing? Don't worry, even us pros were rookies in crypto once. That's why I trust blockchain.com. They make crypto easy. No confusing jargon, just the tools to help you win.
Prescott keeps it, slides with a first down.
Invest like your icons, where everyone is a rookie in crypto with blockchain.com.
Perfect throw, my goodness. Wow, did he ever thread the needle?
Visit blockchain.com/Cowboys to get started.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Back to Mick Shots.
Come on out to AT&T Stadium on February 22nd for the Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship Series. Watch the world's best two-wheel racers converge for one night of nonstop action. Enjoy unprecedented access to the sport's biggest stars with an up-close view of their race bikes and team rigs at FanFest. Tickets are on sale now at SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing partner of AT&T Stadium.
Okay, we continue on Mick Shots. We got some things we want to get to as far as the Cowboys are concerned. One other note on the Eagles. Of course, they were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and I was looking at what they have done on that defensive line, and because 2 years ago they had one of the top defenses in the league. Remember, Javon Hargrave was their stud alongside Fletcher Cox on that defensive line. Mm-hmm. They had Hassan Reddick as well, an edge rusher he had over 2 years with the Eagles, 16 sacks one year and 11 sacks the other year, so 27 sacks over 2 years. So they've let him go since. They let Hargrave leave in free agency to a rival, basically, in San Francisco for a huge 4-year, $80 million contract. That's right. Fletcher Cox retires. And what have they done since then? They decided we'll just draft every defensive lineman we can get from Georgia. Yeah. And so in the meantime, they draft Jordan Davis. They take Jalen Carter with the 9th pick in the draft when others would not touch him because of the incident, the drag racing incident in Georgia, which tragically left a teammate.
So true.
Now, they were racing against each other. The teammate and a staffer were killed in a wreck, and maybe he left the scene or something. I'm not sure. But and in that same draft, they had a late first-round pick. This is 2 years ago, 2023, and they took Nolan Smith out of Georgia with that pick. And he didn't do that much his rookie season, but this year he had a really good season for him. So they have, shored up things on their defensive line.
Is there a Jalen Carter in this draft?
Well, and that's the thing is the point being here the Cowboys are faced with Osa is a free agent. Chauncey Golston's a free agent. Micah Parsons, they've got decisions to make there. And there are tough decisions that have to be made on players. But you can replenish very quickly. And keep in mind the Eagles last year had the 30th ranked defense in the league. They went from 30th to 1st. And with a defensive coordinator in his first year there, a veteran guy in Vic Fangio.
Wow. That lets you know how good he is.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive tackle, wide receiver, running back, offensive lineman.
That's all we need.
Defensive end.
And that.
Those 5 things
that's it.
Kind of come to the top of my linebacker too, by the way.
Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm. We're good.
But other than
that, we're good.
How do you if everything's equal, what's the most important position to fill?
It's got to be in the trenches. Got to be in the trenches, guys.
The other thing that the Eagles have done is they've taken best player available, and because across the board, you have needs. They have needs. Every team in the league has needs across the board in this league.
But you got to
get the best quality.
And when you
do, but you have to attack where the strength has to be. So to me, yes, you want best available, but I'm hoping that best available is somebody that's weighing over 300 pounds.
Well, but it's like the Chiefs' problem at left tackle. The reason the Chiefs haven't been able to fix their left tackle problem is because they draft 32nd every year, okay? And left tackles, the good ones, go in the top 10. Okay?
So then they need to make a move some other way.
Right. They had, and that's why they had to sign Orlando Brown in free agency to fill their left tackle need a few years ago.
That's right. After Tampa Bay wore them out,
now,
said, okay, we need to fix this.
So, and then look at it. The last time the Cowboys had a top 15 draft choice was Micah Parsons. All right. Your last two times, you need left tackle. It was the 29th pick. You needed a defensive tackle, and it was 26
or something like that.
So you didn't get the cream of the crop when you had these needs with first-round picks. Now you've got the 12th pick. So now this guy's got to be a difference maker.
Well, even when CD was drafted, it wasn't a top 15, but it was a 17th pick, and you take CD Lamb because it was just
couldn't
obvious.
Because you
when
had
you take
when
you take Zach
10.
Martin at 16th 10 years ago, it was obvious that's the pick.
And they were fortunate enough that year taking Lamb where they did and still getting the cornerback in the second round.
So you got 12th pick this year.
12th
pick.
So it's not easy, but it's a little bit easier to figure out which way you want to go and who's going to be available at that time.
Yeah, because you can come pretty close to predicting those first 11 picks.
There you go.
Right? So you should have an idea and a choice of 3 or 4 guys, I would think, at 12.
Okay.
But you got to hit.
Okay, so you go crazy if they take a tight end?
A little bit, yes.
Me too.
What if it's Tyler Warren from Penn State, who's more than a tight end?
Can he play tackle?
No.
Because I saw Kelsey trying to block Josh Sweat, and he didn't do very well.
I'm with you, Spags. I don't need all of that. That's just window dressing. Give me somebody that can go down there.
But the issue on the tackle is you just spent a first-round pick on your left tackle.
But what could have been a second-round pick. It was 29.
Right. But, I mean, still, it's a top 30 pick that you spent on a left tackle. So how many years in a row are you going to take left tackles?
It better be somebody in that. I don't care what side he plays. I just want him to be able to play on that offense.
Well, how about, position versatility?
Yeah.
And that's one of the issues. Tyler Guyton, he's a tackle.
Yeah.
He's not playing guard.
And then now
Terrence Steele isn't playing guard, right?
No.
So when you don't have the position versatility, Tyler Smith can play tackle or guard.
Yes,
he's proven it already.
Well, you got to find.
But you can't move Tyler. That's what I'm saying. Tyler Smith can't move out to tackle because Guyton can't go in and play guard.
No, and that's why this draft is so important, because those 2 picks, you still got to hope that they can come through, right? The way BB came through. Now, I need my defensive tackle and my left tackle to be able to play at a high level.
Yeah.
That's why I was big on drafting. I liked in the second round, what it would have been the second round pick, as it was because he was an early third round pick by Washington, Brandon Coleman out of TCU, because he had the position versatility where he could play tackle or guard. He started at left tackle for Washington this year, but you could have made the decision: are you better off with Tyler Smith at left tackle or this guy at left tackle? And the other would play guard.
Right.
And where you got some position flexibility to deal with there.
Okay, I also got to get this off my chest.
Oh.
Darren Woodson.
How does that happen?
Let me see that.
So there were 4 Hall of Famers voted in this year, and 3 of them you could have a maximum of 5, and they only 3 got the 80% vote, I guess, that is required.
That's the biggest slap in the face, that only 3 of all those guys of 15 got 80% of the vote, and Woody didn't get 80%. It's not like somebody got in place of him, right? Because there were still 2 more spots. 2 more spots for the Cowboys' career tackle leader, the guy that's tied with Charles Haley for the most Super Bowl rings in franchise history.
And the thing about it is,
and I know Staubach got 3, but he didn't play in that first. No, he didn't. I mean, he got 2.
this is a problem with committees. Okay.
There's too many people on the East Coast.
Well, it's also a problem with committees because you don't have the big picture in mind. Okay. And so, all right, when you have set voting procedures, or you got to have 80%, whatever. Okay. And there are a lot of really good candidates here. And so the vote is going to get split. So the vote gets split. But now what happens going forward is you have to have the presence of mind to understand next year,
yes,
you've got, okay, you have the same rules, okay, where only 5 can get in, and you had a whole bunch that were right on the border this year, but you didn't fill your allotment. You only took 3 out of 5. You had 2 spots that should have been taken this year. Next year, Drew Brees is in the class, and he is a first ballot Hall of Famer for sure. Slam dunk.
All right.
Larry Fitzgerald is in the class, and he is a first ballot Hall of Famer with 1,400 receptions in his career. So now you've only got 3 spots open for next year. And so whoever was on the bubble this year, and I'm not even including Frank Gore, Phillip Rivers, and Jason Witten are in the mix next year too as first year on the ballot. And you had first year on the ballot guys this year in Luke Kuechly and Eli Manning and Terrell Suggs and Marshall Yanda, whatever. But
they want Eli in there bad.
Right. And so you got those 3. And so if Eli's getting in next year, now you only got 2 spots. So for a Darren Woodson, who's now getting into the twilight of his modern day candidacy,
he's only got a couple years left.
The next year will be his 18th year. And now you're sitting there going, okay, where's the spots available for a guy like him? Everson ran into the same thing when he went through.
No doubt.
You know, and when I looked at some of the projections, the only guy they got right was Antonio Gates for the modern day guy. These people projected like on ESPN, NFL.com.
Sterling Sharp, bro.
No, but that's okay because it's on.
No, it ain't.
It isn't because it's a veteran guy.
No, it's not just that. He's like,
he didn't even play that many years, right?
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Regardless of what category. I mean, you know.
So he gets in. Holmgren didn't get in, and who was the other guy that was up as a contributor?
That was just my beef. That was crazy.
But
now Eric Allen, I'm good with Eric Allen because he's in his 18th year of eligibility. He's got 54 interceptions in his career, only 3 fewer than Everson Walls.
And he only had 1 All-Pro.
Did he win a Super Bowl?
No.
Why do the Super Bowls only count for quarterbacks?
Right.
Because the argument for Eli Manning is he won 2 Super Bowls. Well, Darren Woodson won 3.
Yeah.
And he was on top-ranked defenses at least 3 times.
And I'm not saying Eric Allen deserves to get in over Darren Woodson, but I'm saying fill out the class.
Yeah, let's fill
it out.
When you count it up,
it's such a hurry to jump ship.
You know what? When you count it up and you have 2 more open spots, revote and say, okay, we got 2 spots.
Or
now.
Throw out the requirement of 80%. Just take the top 5.
Give me the top 5.
I mean, why do you have to have 80%?
Isn't that what they do in baseball?
If you got such a good list of 15 finalists that the vote's going to be split,
right?
Okay, just take the top 5.
The Cowboys have 8 defensive players in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Darren Woodson has more tackles than any of them, right? And if you saw this tackle list in the history of the guys, he's got the 4th most tackles of all defensive backs. Laura Malloy, Brian Dawkins, Rondé Barber, and they all played more than his 12 seasons.
I mean, well, why
1,350 tackles. And not only that, he was 2nd in Cowboys history in special teams tackles.
Let's just be clear about this. None of that means a damn to the voters. It means nothing to the voters. you can have all kind of backing that you want. You can have all kind of scenarios that you can come up with. That's an excellent piece of paper right there. That's pretty freaking cool. But that doesn't mean anything to the voters. Nothing at all. This is all about me getting my guy in, and then I'll help you with your guy.
You're right.
That's what it's all about, you know. And I'm one of those guys, even from a senior standpoint. I got my guy. He's gonna push me. You know, he's gonna push me again next year. You know, I tell him, don't worry about it. Don't lose any friends, all that over me, right? But they're gonna push their guy because that's the pride that some of those Hall of Fame voters have. But you've got some young guys out there, they don't give a damn. They don't give a damn or know what Darren Woodson was all about. They could care less what Woodson did. They could care about all those little idiosyncrasies there. They don't care. They already have their guy. And by the time that stuff is already figured out and counted out, they're at home in bed. They're not even watching the damn Super Bowl. You know, I'm just telling you, that's what the report and these Hall of Fame voters are like that. A lot of them are so young now that they could care less about Darren Woodson, much less Everson Walls. They don't care because they're not going to look it up. You're not their guy. I'm in this area, you're in that area. It's all about everyone hiding their chips. That's all they're doing, hiding their chips.
So I left it on my desk. Sports Illustrated in the last issue that had the Sports Person of the Year on the cover, Simone Biles. They got a committee of 37 guys to vote for their top 50 games in football history.
Gotcha.
The Cowboys had 6 games in there. 5 of them were losses.
Always. Always. I have noticed that any time that, even if you go on YouTube and you try to find a great game between the Cowboys and somebody else, they're going to put up the losses first.
The only win.
Those great losses that the Cowboys had.
The only
they put
win.
up great losses.
The only win was
Hail Mary?
The Hail Mary.
Everyone
the
wants to
losses,
see us lose.
The first 2
Ice Bowl.
I shouldn't have said that. First 2 Super Bowls, Ice Bowl was number 1 out of 50.
Right.
Number 4?
San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah, I've been there.
But you got your picture.
Yeah. Why is that surprising?
I saw that and I said, I don't know if I have the heart to show them.
I'm like bulletproof now.
That's
man.
right.
Come on, I'm 65 years old. I've been dogged out by the Hall of Fame. I didn't even get my modern day. I got 1 year modern day. 1 year. I got 2018. Before that, I wasn't even considered to be put into the mix.
With 57 interceptions
man. So,
and a Super Bowl.
You think I'm not Teflon?
And out of those
over here?
37 people on that committee, I recognized, I bet, at least 30 of them. The other thing I was doing is counting up the games that either I know I watched on TV or were at, and I was in the 30s, I think. But some of the names in there were very recognizable. But yeah, 5 of them were losses. 2 to the Packers, 2 to Pittsburgh,
and 1 San Fran,
and then 1 San Francisco.
They love to see us lose. They just do. We lose great. We lose so well.
I mean, they could have had Dorsett's 99-yard run against Minnesota in there, right?
99 yards and a half.
And a half. With 10 guys on the field.
That part. That part.
Ron Springs.
Yeah.
All right. Let's update this coaching staff when we come
Yes.
back on Mick Shots in a moment.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pre-game sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Hey Cowboy fans, I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But lately, I've been learning a new game, Crypto. Sound confusing? Don't worry. Even us pros were rookies in crypto once. That's why I trust blockchain.com. They make crypto easy. No confusing jargon, just the tools to help you win.
Prescott keeps it, slides with a first down.
Invest like your icons, where everyone is a rookie in crypto with blockchain.com.
Perfect throw, my goodness. Wow, did he ever thread the needle.
Visit blockchain.com/Cowboys to get started.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pre-game sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Back to Mick Shots.
The most action-packed motorsports experience in the world returns to Arlington. Head to AT&T Stadium on Saturday, March 8th for Monster Jam. Get ready to cheer, scream, and be amazed by massive Monster Jam trucks take over Arlington. Tickets are on sale now at SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing partner of AT&T Stadium.
All right, Mickey was just talking about the Sports Illustrated list of the top most memorable games in NFL history, which came out last week. Their list, a survey of however many people in the Ice Bowl.
And it was from like the 59 years of
Super Bowl.
The Super Bowls.
Yeah.
So, which is why the Ice Bowl, even though it was not it was in the Super Bowl era.
Super Bowl.
That's
era.
right.
That was Super Bowl.
So, and that
2.
was December 31st, 1967. And that was number 1 on the list. I got the list here.
Oh, okay.
Number 2 on the list was the Immaculate Reception, Oakland and Pittsburgh in 1972.
And it wasn't all Super Bowls. It was games.
Right.
Yeah, that's
during the Super Bowl.
Right, so that was a playoff game. Number 3 on the list was the Joe Namath guaranteed Colts-Jets Super Bowl, Super Bowl III. Number 4 on the list is we won't talk about that one.
Oh, that's 4.
Yeah, that's
The catch.
4.
Number 4 on the list.
Most memorable game.
Number 5 was the Falcons-Patriots Super Bowl, where they come back from 25 points down in the second half.
And actually, number 4, I think, was because that was the start of San Francisco's
run
in the 80s.
So it doesn't have to be a Super Bowl game at all.
No. Any game.
Okay.
Number 6
and the fact that it denied the Cowboys a spot in the Super Bowl.
Number 6 was the David Tyree catch Super Bowl in 2007 season. And then number 7 was the Tuck Rule game, Raiders-Patriots playoff game in the snow in 2001 season. Oilers-Bills, the comeback. The Bills comeback in that game. Frank Reich game was number 8 on the list in January 1993. Everson!
You made it.
Oh, well, why didn't you tell me that one?
Number 9.
I was counting the Cowboys.
Number 9.
Why you didn't tell me that one? Spag's a jerk, man.
Number 9, wide right.
He wants to keep me down, man.
No, I forgot about it. I had my list of stuff.
Right.
So, Everson, you made the top 10 twice.
Hey, I made Super Bowl. I made the Sports Illustrated poster.
Did the San Francisco comeback against Cincinnati, was that 10?
10th was Broncos-Browns
the fumble.
Yep, Marty Schottenheimer. Which brings us to Schottenheimer's Cowboys here.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay. What do you make of the additions to the coaching staff? And over the weekend, don't think Junior Adams has become official, but it was reported yesterday the wide receivers coach, co-offensive coordinator with Oregon is supposedly being hired here as a wide receivers coach. Mickey has a puzzled look on his face.
I was trying to see. I had kind of written down my guys that they recently.
And then Connor Riley is the offensive line coach at Kansas State, who is coming here as the offensive line coach. That is official. And he was Cooper Beebe's offensive line coach at Kansas State. Those are the two most recent. Junior Adams, by the way, is interesting as a receivers coach. He's one of the most respected wide receivers coach in the college game. Was at Oregon the last 3 years, I think, 2 or 3 years, and prior to that at Washington. So he had Rome Odunze at Washington. He had Puka Nacua as well at Washington. But what's really interesting is you go back, he was the receivers coach at Eastern Washington when Cooper Kupp was there. And Cooper Kupp says there is no coach who has had more of an impact on his career than Junior Adams.
Really?
And did you point out when he was at, I'm sorry, I was looking for my stuff, at Oregon, he was the
co-offensive coordinator
as the wide receiver.
Another interesting, with Cooper Kupp, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I could find it, but I don't have time to. His freshman, he set the all-time NCAA record for a freshman receiver at Eastern Washington with Junior Adams as his coach, which was like 95 catches for 1,600 yards and 21 touchdowns or something like that. And you go back even further for Adams. He was, when he got his start into coaching, he was on the staff at Prosser High School in Washington. That is where Kellen Moore went to high school, and Kellen Moore's dad, Tom Moore, was the head coach there. And Kellen Moore's brother, who is now at Missouri, on the staff at Missouri, Kirby Moore, offensive coordinator there, he set like the all-time receiving record. He was a wide receiver there. Kellen was already at Boise State when Junior Adams was there, but he coached Kirby Moore.
You want me to do one more on the Moore family?
Okay.
His grandfather was a state, like an it was an award like all-state in Illinois at my high school.
Oh, small world, isn't it?
It's small.
And Kellen Moore, has it been announced yet that he's the head coach of the Saints? Because it will be short.
Even if Sirianni, twice I heard him say, "Come on, we got to play it back." I think it's a done deal there, Nick. So the offensive.
Did Rex Ryan ever get a job?
Not Rex.
No.
Rob Ryan.
Shocking.
Rob Ryan went to USC. He's on Lincoln Riley's staff at USC. Yeah.
But I mean,
Rex said, "I'm the job. I'm the best candidate for the Jets."
I
He
thought it
wasn't
was a
the
done
best
deal.
candidate for nobody.
And I look up this morning, he's still sitting up there as a pundit.
So the offensive line coach, you mentioned that's done, right?
Connor Riley. Yep.
He was the offensive coordinator at K-State.
Yep.
So he coached Beebe and Deuce Vaughn.
Okay.
It seems like he was also the offensive line coach at North Dakota State when they won a couple championships. And then
And he actually was there when Hunter Lipke was at North Dakota State his freshman year.
Ah, very good. So it seems like they've put a high precedence on the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Since your offensive line coach, your offensive coordinator, offensive assistants, and I think they hired another offensive assistant. Oh, that was a wide receiver type guy, Taquan Underwood.
Yep. Like an assistant wide receivers coach.
Yeah, and then they ended up, I think, did they do Derek Foster?
Yes.
Last time when we did the show.
Well, they hadn't at that point
named it. Yeah.
Yep.
So there seems to be an emphasis on the offensive line, coaching staff anyway.
It should be.
So we'll see where. And if you look up Schottenheimer's offensive coordinator history, he's had some pretty good running back or running performance.
Well, he's had the #1 rush offense at Seattle, and then also back with the Jets.
Yeah. So that kind of gives you an idea of, what they're thinking at this point.
It is interesting when you look at the veterans on the staff with the Eagles, with Jeff Stoutland, their offensive line coach and run game coordinator, Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator. The Cowboys coaching staff is trending to guys in their 40s and 50s, a younger coaching staff. And which I like it from an energy standpoint and relating to players and so forth.
Right.
And
I think it was on our website. Jerry said something about the staff getting younger, and it was like a 10-year difference between this past staff to younger.
And I was thinking, I want to look, before next week, I'm going to look up how old the coaches were on the staff in the 90s when Jimmy was the head coach, and Wanstedt and Butch Davis. And, I mean, they were all in about the same age range.
Yeah.
Maybe early 40s?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Campo?
Butch?
Wanstedt. North Turner might have been one of the older ones coming in.
Tony Wise.
Tony Wise was with
Steve Hoffman.
Was he older?
No, he was with that group. They all had been at Pittsburgh together when Pittsburgh won the national championship with Dorsett.
He had to be a little older, though, right?
The oldest guy was Dick Nolan.
Yeah, we know. Right. If you throw Dick in there, that would be the oldest guy, man. Come on.
All right, so Tony Wise, when he came to the Cowboys, would have been 38 years old.
Oh, wow.
He was born in 1951. So
I must admit, I thought he was a little older.
he carried himself older.
He did.
When they did that, tribute to Jimmy, they had it was an AI thing where they kind of superimposed what they looked like, and they showed him his first year at Oklahoma State. It was 79, I believe. I was on the Big 8 Skyriders tour before the season started, and I remember going to Oklahoma State and meeting this guy named Jimmy Johnson, and I said to myself, oh, this guy's going to take the Big 8 by storm. Just the way he conducted his interviews that day. And sure enough, he turned that in.
Okay, I just real quick, I don't have to wait till next week on some of this stuff. Dave Wanstedt, when the Cowboys, when he was hired here, he was 36 years old.
I was going to say 38.
And he was 30. He turned 37 in May of that year.
Okay.
Butch Davis was 37 years old. I didn't mention Tony Wise was 38. So there you've got an idea of how old
Campo was probably still pretty young at that time. I think he's only...
He was 42.
Okay.
So there you go.
I was trying to think who else was...
Hubbard
Alexander was probably a little bit older than...
I don't care.
Joe Brodsky.
I don't care what the official length of the show is. You guys all
we're way over.
tend to go.
You got a lunch date or something?
I can just feel Chris in there, just getting heated.
We're keeping him from eating his lunch.
Gentlemen, welcome to overtime.
Joe Brodsky was the old
Brodsky.
Brodsky was wow. He was 55.
Okay.
So
that was old.
And I'm
was
sure
a senior citizen.
Dick Nolan probably was.
Well, yeah, Dick Nolan.
At least 60.
Yeah. All right.
His shoulder was old.
That does it.
Well, his shoulder.
His shoulder was older than everybody.
You know that story, don't you?
Don't start, Spag. We got to go, man.
I'll tell it off the air.
Just remember it for next week. See if you can remember it.
Well, I got to write it down.
I'll write it down on your legal pad then. Right?
Next week will be on Tuesdays.
Oh, that's right. Next week's Tuesday because Monday's President's Day.
Excellent.
Oh,
Thank
it's
you, Chris.
President's Day on Monday.
Appreciate
it's a
So I
holiday.
told Chris we could do it, so I
we're
didn't
good.
check with you guys.
No, we're good.
But I'm checking now.
Okay.
I'm good.
Sounds good. All right. In fact, I think I'll be
Same time,
interviewing
right?
Cam
Same time?
Ward the night before at the Davey O'Brien Award.
Same time, 11?
11 o'clock?
No, we did it at 9.
We did
9
it.
a.m.
9 a.m.
There you go.
early.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, is that
Right there,
Davey O'Brien next week?
Next Monday, yep.
Oh,
So
There we
I
go.
went to that last year.
Okay,
If you want to bring him with you, that'd be great.
all All right, we'll chat at you next Tuesday at 9 a.m. on Mick Shots.
Yeah, go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!